Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Yes and, the podcast about all things Arcadia Theater. I'm your host, Zara Peters, and today I am here with the wonderful Finn. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Finnigan or Finn. I use they, he pronouns. I am a third year/junior. I am studying for BFA in acting, and yeah, I'm usually behind the camera, but now I'm in front of it.
Yeah, so a little fun fact. Finn and I are both on the theater marketing team here at Arcadia, and the podcast was a little brainchild idea that I had at the end of last year. And so I proposed it to the team, and they were all so supportive of the idea. And so Finn took it upon himself to come and be my helper. And so usually in most all of the episodes that you've seen, if you've seen the other episodes, and if not, you should totally go watch them or listen to them, depending on if you're watching or listening currently. And Finn has been behind the camera for all of those, and he has been such a big help running around with me to get equipment and all that other fun stuff. So today, basically what we're going to do is, we just came back from break, so we're going to talk a little bit about what's in store this semester, some podcasts you might be hearing in the future. We're going to talk a little bit about the podcast a little bit more, actually, and kind of give you some behind the scenes of like how that happened and all that kind of stuff. I also want to ask you questions because this is your first year here at Arcadia. And so that's just kind of what today is going to be. It's super chill, super casual, just getting back into the semester,
We ball.
Exactly. So last semester was your first semester here at Arcadia. So what are your thoughts? What attracted you to Arcadia? Why are you staying? All those things. I mean, there's like a segment I think that they were doing on social media a little while back that was talking about like why students chose Arcadia and why they choose to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
Okay. It's funny enough, the thing that really drew me to Arcadia for the theater program was their TikToks.
Oh,
Their TikToks and their Instagram were so active, and I'm like, oh my god, they look like they're having so much fun and doing theater. And I was like, oh my god, maybe I should like try it out, like see what's over there. I'm a transfer student, so I'm a junior, but I did 2 years of community college at Montgomery County Community College. Go Mustangs! And it was a very small theater program, but it was like if anybody ever asks me about their theater program, I will never shut up about it because it's why I'm here today. Like I loved their theater program. The professors so amazing, and it was a very small, tight knit community. And I was like, I'm looking for that somewhere else too. So I didn't want to go to a big school. I didn't want a big theater. So I was like, Arcadia looks very small but like tight knit. I love the way the program is, and I was like, I'm gonna apply and hopefully they accept me, and they did. So I'm here.
We love you so much. No, I mean, I can speak for everyone in the theater program when we say like we love you so much. Like that's one of the things that I love about this theater department, because we were talking about this a little bit in our marketing meeting the other day, because we were talking about like what our program means and all that other fun stuff. And we were talking about how like a lot of people that are attracted to Arcadia is attracted because like everyone is so like closely knit. Like we all are really big supporters of each other. We all like come see each other's like projects and shows, even like stuff that's like outside. Like I know a lot of people who are still friends with alumni who come back all the time to come see different shows and all that kind of stuff. And so it's very tight knit. We're all such good friends, because I think what the number is like, there's like 40 of us in our entire program, which is not very big, especially compared to a lot of other schools. But it just makes it so much easier to bond with everyone, which is so nice. And it's just it's so fun to be a part of a community like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like theater is a community, and to be able to mimic that and have that, like we have each other, like that is so important. Theater is a collaboration. That's the word. Theater is a collaboration, and to be able to collaborate with people that you love and care about is like, that's theater.
So good. That's as Ray would say, that's theater. Something you mentioned briefly, the TikTok and Instagram, which I want to plug that the usernames, I believe, should be in the bio of this YouTube video, and I think in the bio of the Spotify. But definitely go check them out if you haven't already.
Didn't we have like a TikTok that like blew
We
up?
did. I mean, it semi blew up. We had at the end of last semester, because we have a cabaret club here on campus that is not officially run through the theater department, but a lot of theater kids participate. My roommate, Becca, who is the president of the cabaret club and hopefully will be in a future episode, she's president of the cabaret club, and last semester, every semester they have a big performance at the end of the semester, and they work the whole semester on it, and it's a bunch of student directors, and the entire cast is all students, and it's basically each semester there's a theme. This next semester is going to be the 7 Deadly Sins, which is going to look so cool.
I put that theme out there.
Yes, you did. But it's so cool. But last semester we had cabaret, and a few of the performances were recorded, and we had there was a video of Becca and our other good friend Daniel singing "Suddenly Seymour," and that I think it has like 20K views as it stands right now. But like it was as soon as we posted it, it went a little bit viral. And they're such talented singers, and I strongly recommend you go check it out because, oh my God,
You'll be blown away.
Blown away. And Julia, who is head of our TikTok, who's also on the marketing team, who you will also hopefully see in a future podcast. She's been doing such a good job on the TikTok. Such a good job.
She's working so hard.
The TikToks are so funny. They never fail to make me laugh. There was one that was posted as of filming this, posted yesterday. That's like the we're Arcadia students. Of course we, blah whatever. And I was chuckling at some of them because I was like, these are too real. These are too close to home.
Hit a little too close.
A little too close. But I think it just goes to show, because it was like something that we all can relate to, and it goes to speak to that community thing once again. But
I'm sorry, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying.
We're agreeing with anything we're saying. Yeah. Oh my God. So this semester. You wanna get us started with what's going on this upcoming semester?
So we have 2 shows happening this semester.
Yes, we do.
Right now. I think we're in the second week of Spring Awakening rehearsals.
Woohoo!
Woo, the musical, not the play.
Yes, I am pulling up my calendar so I can try and get the dates off. So
Directed by Robbie Hager.
I believe so.
I think I'm saying it right. And
he's gonna be on a later episode too. I'm very excited to interview him.
He was a part of the original Broadway cast as
a swing, I believe. Yeah.
Yes. So he knows Jonathan Groff and Leah Michelle.
Everyone's so excited to work with him. And I'm so excited to interview him later. Mm-hmm. A lot of my roommates are involved in the production, so I've heard very good things about him. I'm so excited to both see the show and also talk with him. It's gonna be so cool.
It's gonna be good because it's Spring Awakening, but our friends are in it and they're so talented. So I know it's gonna eat. It's gonna eat.
I believe the dates for Spring Awakening, for anyone who's interested, is the week of February the 23rd. So I believe Thursday the 22nd through Sunday the 25th, I believe, are the dates for that.
Yes, you are correct.
I will definitely be letting you know, and it'll be on the Instagram, the Facebook, and the TikTok when tickets are all out, so you can get those. Again, I cannot mention this enough. Tickets at Arcadia for our shows are pay what you can. That being said, for anyone who is an avid lover of theater and just doesn't have it in the budget to go and see theater, or is a student who is wants to go and see productions but can't, you can pay $0. It's pay what you can. We obviously appreciate whatever people choose to give, but it's so we can get as many people to come and witness the art that we put so much effort into. That being said, the ticket sales are mainly so that we can estimate how many people we're going to have per night, and usually our opening nights are pretty big, and usually our musicals are pretty big. So I highly recommend trying to snag up tickets when you can, because they will sell out pretty fast for this. But I'm so excited to see
No, because I haven't seen a musical at Arcadia, so this is my first time experiencing it. And I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm a musical lover.
All right. We mentioned Cabaret a little bit before, so Cabaret is going to be happening soon. I don't have the dates for the auditions for any of that, but I will be sure to get that from Becca.
I actually do have the
You
dates.
have them. Tell them what it is.
It is this upcoming Monday at 10 p.m. in the Great Room.
That would be Monday, January 26th in the Great Room. If anyone has any issues finding that, let someone know. If you are in association with Arcadia at all, let any student ask any students, ask any teachers. They would be sure to give you information more about that. We also have our play Failure, a Love Story, which is happening in April. Do you know the date off the top of your head?
I should know the dates because I'm going to be the assistant director.
Yes, you are!
But I don't know the dates. I can get to them to you at a later
We will
date.
get them to you at a later date. There's a little bit of time before
Yes.
Failure, Love Story. Our good camera operator. Our camera operator Ven is looking up currently. Thank you, Ven. I love you so much.
You're amazing.
Ven will hopefully also be on a later episode. I have so many plans to interview so many people on this, but yes. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming up this semester. I know we are hoping to get more singing videos out to people on the TikTok, because I know that was been a really big exciting part, and I know everyone's really excited for these shows to go up. We're definitely going to talk way more about Spring Awakening in the next few weeks. Be looking for the start of some of those podcasts. I'm going to interview some of the cast, interview Robbie. I'm so excited. And then obviously later in the semester we'll be getting into Failure, Love Story as well, which when I read I was like,
It is such a beautiful story, and I can't wait.
It's such a moving piece, and it's like a little bit of like an absurdism piece as well, which is something that I really love, because I love the theater that doesn't really make sense but does at the same time.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you mentioned, we have the dates. Did you text me? Okay.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, from Ven. We have April 11th to the 14th. That's Thursday the 11th to Sunday the 14th. Thank you so much, Ven. I will put my phone away now. So that I'm paying full attention. My little ADHD brain. Okay, so you mentioned that you are AD, assistant director, for Failure, Love Story. Didn't you also assistant direct the Laramie project that we did last semester?
Oh my God, look at you go.
And you were also a swing?
I was.
Which we are going to be talking about more in a later episode. Tell me about that.
I have always had an eye for directing. I feel like as an actor, you always have an eye for like, what would I do if I was directing? What would I do if I was directing this? Mm-hmm. Not to like toot my own, I just have a creative mind, so I love like I love like reading a script and then helping bring it to life. And I got to work with Kevin Glockham. Really, like, if you don't know who Kevin Glockham, like, he's
in the first episode of the podcast. Go watch.
I love that man.
We love him
and
so much.
Just getting to work with him and like getting to like talk about like different scenes or like how we would do this, how we would do that, like getting to be a part of, like, especially the Laramie Project, such an important story.
Yeah.
First of all, an honor to be a part of that. But getting to have in hand and just creating the story that we got to tell, I think that's theater.
That's theater. That's theater.
It is.
That's so theater. Also, there's something else I was gonna say. What was I gonna say?
Swing?
Oh my God! Yes, literally, you read my mind. We are going to hopefully film next week. It was supposed to be this week, but next week, I believe, we are going to film an episode with myself, Finnigan, and someone who I mentioned earlier, Daniel. And you and Dan were both swings for the Laramie Project, and I was swing for The Wolves, which was another show that we did last semester. And yeah, we're going to talk about what that experience was like, which I'm really excited for because we didn't, no, actually, you know what? I was going to get into something, but we won't. We'll save it for that episode because there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
Which we'll also hopefully be doing with the swings for Failure and Spring Awakening. We'll be also doing another episode at the end of the semester, hopefully, with all of them and get their experiences as well. Because there's very different shows and, you know, musicals is different than, you know, plays and all that kind of stuff. Basically, we're trying to talk as much as we can about all the theater things and also Arcadia Theater in general.
Thank you, theater.
Thank you, theater. All right. You know what?
To go into theater?
That's literally what I was going to do.
See,
we're literally on the same
we spent so
wavelength.
much time together that we're like reading each other's minds.
I was literally going to be like, on the topic of theater in general.
Yes.
What draws you to it? How did you get started in theater? Where did it come from?
So, funny story. Before being a theater kid / major, I was gonna be a film student, because I feel like that's always like that's the path. Film, theater. We're like cousins. Like that's how
very
it is.
much so.
I was gonna be a film student. I always wanted to act in movies. Like since I was a young child, I was like, oh my god, I want to be a superhero. I want to be in a Marvel film. Blah blah blah.
Real.
And I was like, wow. Theater is always a segue. Like you see a lot of actors in TV and film started out in theater. So I was like, oh, that's how I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna do theater. So my senior year of high school, I auditioned for the musical Legally Blonde. I got casted as Kiki the hairstylist, and I was also a dance captain. I had a little dance break and everything.
Thank you, dance captain.
It was really fun for high school theater. Like it was actually really fun. It was my senior year, so I got into it kind of late, and I was like, wait, I think I like this little. But no, I was like, oh my god,
so good.
I actually really enjoyed it. So I was class of 2020, so thankfully our shows, we got to put on our show, but a lot of people in my class didn't get to do their shows. Yeah. So my dreams were a little put on hold because COVID. Yeah. So I think it was 2020 is when I started at Monco, the community college I went to, and I joined the theater program there, and it was there that I was like, wow, there's so much more to theater than I thought it was. Yeah. And it was like the classes, like I took an acting class, I took an improv class. It was just like, this is everything. I was casted in my first show. We did Orlando, and I was part of the ensemble, and you just realize how I was in a class called TPW, and it's where you build the set for the show, and it's just there's so many different parts to theater that you just don't get in film. Like the crew, the building, the designers. I've designed a handful of shows. I've acted. I even stage managed. There are so many different things. It feels like it's a lot more in-house, if that makes sense, with theater. It's all very, very close, which I'm sure can happen on film sets. But, a lot of times, especially with theater at, schools and other things like that, or smaller theaters in general, you have a lot of people wearing more than one hat, which I think is also really cool, especially in a learning environment, to be able to try your hand at so many things. Because I've seen so many people, and I've met so many people who started off as one thing, and then they found that they were really good at this other thing, and it was because it's such a collaborative process, and everyone works so closely together on all of these things. No, it's really funny, especially about wearing the multiple hats. I remember my last year there, I was a props designer. I was assistant directing, and they were on 2 different campuses. There was they were 40 miles away from each other.
Oh my god!
So I'd go from one rehearsal, drive 40 miles and then assistant. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
And I was also in one of the shows that I was. So
Look at you go!
I love the hustle and bustle.
Me too.
But I also I feel like it's just. Like I said it earlier, theater is so collaborative, and I just feel like you don't get that closeness in film. So I'm maybe I'll stay in theater a little longer than I thought.
Who's to say?
I mean, Marvel, if you're out there and you
if you're looking,
if you're looking. But I do want to say one of my favorite roles. I always talk about this role because it's so important to me. I'm non-binary. I use they/he pronouns, and I got to play. I was casted in Midsummer, and I got to play a non-binary version of Helena, and I loved Midsummer. Thank you, Shakespeare. And I loved Helena. I loved that the director was so accommodating and let me be able to be myself and play a character that was just so me. Yeah. Just theater is diversity is important. Theater.
So true.
Let us on stage.
For real.
People of all color and all bodies, we deserve to see
Yes.
ourselves on stage, and that's what I want to do. I want people like me to be like, hey, I can do that because they're doing it. So I'm like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, representation is so
100%.
important. And a little bit, there's two things I wanted to mention of stuff that you said, or side tangents. One, I was
quests.
about the most recent thing you were just talking about. Because a big thing that we were talking about the other day is about how a lot of people that I've talked to here at Arcadia have gotten into Arcadia specifically, like looking at like the classes that they hold, because the classes I think are so specific and unique to me at least. And so I was going to talk about you and I, along with several other people, are both in Theater in the Global Majority,
Yes.
which is a class, and so is Ven behind the camera. And then we were talking about it the other day, but we were talking about because it's basically it's about, you know, non-Western theater, because a lot of times you think of theater and you think of all these, you know, westernized versions of that, but really there's like theater had its foundation in so many other cultures, and it's pretty much ignored, which is ridiculous. And so we were talking the other day about different shows, and we were watching a little interview / clip from Fat Ham that went up. Where did it go up? You saw it in person.
I saw it at the Wilma.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good. And if you don't know what if you don't know what Fat Ham is about, it's basically a modern take on Hamlet, but it takes place in a backyard. It is a predominant black cast, and it's just like, it's a cookout, if you know what I mean. It's a cookout, but it has all the like important things that Hamlet has. Like there's a ghost, there's death, there's the story, like it's just like, but it's like surrounded by the culture of like black people and just like what we do when we get down.
Yeah, and that's the thing about theater is, and also Shakespeare specifically, because people always are recreating Shakespeare. And it's not always in the same old classic, you know, Elizabethan thing is, because the world changes, but a lot of the story ideas or the, I don't know, the themes of a lot of, you know, Shakespeare shows are very universal and can be, you know, molded to fit many different formats, which is what you were talking about playing Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream, about how it's like, I feel like that's what it's made for. You know what I mean? Like there's different shows out there that are like intended to be portrayed a certain way, and all these different kind of things, and you always have to be cognizant of, like, you know, who you're casting, and you want to do the roles justice, and all of that kind of stuff. But there's no real restrictions on that. And that's something that's like, I don't know, it's so beautiful about theater.
That's another thing why I kind of prefer theater over film. Like film, you have to angles, you got to do this way to make sure that you're in frame, blah blah blah. But like theater is just like, put me on stage, minimal set.
Anyone can see you, even if you're in the
like,
background.
There's
like
no bounds.
Yeah, there's no lens that you're looking through. There's no specific frame that you're looking through. Your frame is the theater or the space that you are in. Which is like, I think we were talking about Theater in the Round earlier today.
Yes.
And about how much we love Theater in the Round. And for anyone unfamiliar with Theater in the Round, basically it's when the playing space for the actors is in the center of a room or something, and the audience is seated around the performance, which kind of means you're always being looked at from all angles, which I almost feel like is theater in its like rawest form. Because the entire big thing is like, it's like, you know, growing up doing theater, I always was told, like, even if you're an ensemble, like, that role is so important because people are going to be able to look at you. And, like, you know, like, if your parent is sitting in the audience, or, like, you know, one of your friends is whatever, there's a high probability they're looking at you and they're not looking at, you know, the main characters. And so it's like, to be, you know, in it, in the story is so important, because even if you're just like, you know, you're not speaking at that moment in time or something, you're still on stage and you're still seen, and it's like living in the moment, and it makes you feel like you're in it so much more. Than, which, this is me saying as someone who's never done film, and who wants to do film, because I think that there's a certain beauty and a certain art to film as well, of like the way that you can take those limited like views and those limited shots and you can create something.
Yes, of course.
Like
We're not knocking
it
film.
almost feels like a mosaic to me. You know what I mean? Where like I feel like film seems like this mosaic kind of collage of a story, and theater feels like I don't know what the word I'm looking is for, but it's like it's live and it's in the moment, and there's that connection to the audience that isn't always that you can't really always get in film, because film, it's one way. It's the actors giving and the audience taking, and in theater it's the actors and the audience in this relationship, because you're getting live feedback from the audience, and you can feel their energy in the room, and you can feel the quiet or the ruckus or like whatever it may be. And it's so beautiful.
Also with film, like if you mess up a take, you can do it again. But
Yeah.
with theater, it's live, and if you mess up, then you work with it. And that's one of my favorite things about theater. I feel like the little, like, not slip-ups, but the little things, like, I just love the characteristics. Like, I feel like it adds. And I'm just like, oh, give it to me live. Like, I want the raw, the liveness, like, of it. Oh, it's so good. It's just...
Another thing I love about theater is that everyone involved in theater, or at least professionally, or who are training to do so, they're all so passionate about it as an art form. Like this, because this makes me think of like this discussion that we're having right now. Like you can tell, you can visibly and or
so
audibly
much.
tell that we care a lot about this. I mean, obviously, like
our
we're
jobs,
both,
but
it's our jobs, and it's also our like major. It's what we want to do with the rest of our lives. But it's like any discussion that I've had these discussions with my friends at lunch. But like between classes, there's like classroom discussions that we have that continue outside of the classrooms just with us personally, because we all care so much about the art form. There's like so many people that I know, myself included, like we watch shows on our own time. We listen to musicals on our own time. We read plays on our own time. Like this is an art form that we are so passionate about. And there's so many people that I know that are writing plays or are, wanting to do those kinds of things and, wanting to pursue all of that kind of stuff. And it's just like the passion that everyone has for it as an art form, and also in like, not only just in an emotional way, but also like in an intellectual way. Like it feels like it's so, I don't know, intellectually nourishing, if that makes sense, to kind of think about the depth that theater gets. Because I feel like a lot of people who aren't familiar with theater, they might just kind of be like, oh, it's people, playing around on stage and they're telling a story, and it can be very moving, but whatever else. But like, there's this whole world that I feel like, we have like a deep love for and understanding of. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to me.
No, because what you said about, like, not a lot of people know about theater. Like, I didn't really know about theater. Like, I would see The Lion King, like, down at Walnut Street, like, maybe once a year, because, shit. 8.
Don't worry about it. I'll bleep it in post.
Anyway, but, like, I hadn't really seen any other shows. It wasn't till, like, the last, like, 2 years that I really got into Philly and, like, got to see different shows in different theaters and big theaters, small theaters, and just like get into the really nitty gritty of it and like hear all these different stories. And I'm like, wow, there's so much more of it than people know. Like also just Philly theater, like I didn't really know how thriving it was, because everyone's always like, oh, New York City, that's where you go for theater, but like there's theater everywhere, and the Philly theater scene is not messing around. They are here to play.
There's theater everywhere. I feel very much the same. I didn't know as much about theater as I do now. Like coming to college helped me like learn a lot. 'Cause like I was only ever shown theater through my old school. My mother was a nanny before I was born, and the two girls that she was a nanny for both were in theater, and one of which is currently her and her husband are the owner, or I don't know if they're the owners, but they run an improv company, and they like do shows all the time and all that kind of other stuff. And the younger daughter, she currently is working on Disney Cruise Line. And I think currently she's playing Elsa. I think previously she was playing the Wardrobe, Mary Poppins, Cruella, a bunch of stuff. But she's done several tours, and it's like they're both so talented, and so growing up, I would go, like, when they, were in, like, middle and high school and I was a little kid, I would go and I would see the performances that they were in, obviously, because, my mother wanted to go support them and all those other kind of stuff. So I grew up, that was my only kind of introduction to it, I feel like, and those were through school productions. Now, don't get me wrong, my school I was so blessed to go to the school that I went to, because I went there pretty much my whole life. And I think I mentioned this a little bit in our last episode with Blake and Raymond. But in middle school, all my friends were going to audition for the play in 6th grade, and it was Lion King. And I was like, well, I like the Lion King movie. That's so fun. And so then I did it, and I was like, wait, I actually kind of enjoyed that. Even though I was, like, so shy growing up. And so then I kept doing it, and then I chose it as, like, because I had to, pick an art going into high school, and I chose it as my art, and then I ended up doing, like, 15 shows by the time I graduated high school. And, a lot of those shows, like, I worked on costumes, or I was, like, on ensemble, and I worked in costumes, and I had, like, a line, but, like, it was the entire thing, I guess, that, like, really, like, I don't know, it made me come out of my shell so much. It pretty much gave me the personality that I have today. Working in costumes alone gave me my, like, my passion for fashion. That was so cringe. But like, that's kind of like what got me interested, because I was looking at different time periods and all this kind of stuff. So it, like, grew that interest in me and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously I came to college undeclared, which I think we'll probably talk about more in later episodes with some other people who came in undeclared. But I came in undeclared, even though I knew that I really loved theater and acting, and I knew that was something I wanted to do eventually. And, I ended up declaring acting major. But it was like I didn't really, like, know that much about theater, because I was in my own little bubble. I was in my own, like, the stuff that we did at my school was the stuff that I was kind of introduced to. And then coming here, my first year seminar class that I was in was with Kevin Glackham, who we've mentioned several times. He teaches a class that's called Theater in Philadelphia, and so in that class, which Ven was also in, Ven's nodding behind the camera. In that class, we watched a bunch of shows, both in person and recorded versions of shows. But we went out into Philly and we watched all these shows. And I was like, I never knew that there were. I didn't know that me coming here to Philly was going to be such a big theater community. Like, I was not aware that was a thing. And it was, like, introducing me to just all these genres and these ideas that, like, I had never really gotten to at least experience before. Like, I might have known that, like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. But it's, like, it's one thing to think of something abstractly, and another thing, I don't know if that's a word, abstractly, but it is now.
It is now.
But, like, it's another thing to experience it.
If you haven't seen a live show, please go out.
Give it a
and
chance.
See one, because there is something so magical about being in a theater, and then the lights go down. You get the little message about, oh, silence your phone, and then the lights on the stage. Like, there is something so magical, and, like, you can feel
so
it
energizing
in the room.
Yeah,
like, the energy in the room, like, you can feel it. And,
you can feel the excitement.
You're all sharing a story together. Like, it's crazy.
It's like it feels peak humanity to me, because it, like, not only are you like you're watching something that's out of someone's brain, and then you're watching it be portrayed through other humans who their job is to portray emotion and to portray a story. And, like, that experience, along with sitting in a room full of, maybe it's tens and maybe it's hundreds, or maybe it's even thousands of people in the same room experiencing the same story with you. There's nothing like that, because there's no two shows that are the same. Like, both just in general and also within a production. Like, the Friday night show is going to be completely different from the Saturday night show. And it's like that experience of, like, having that same, I don't know, that same experience of witnessing that show with so many other people and feeling everyone else's emotions and feeling everyone else's energy in the room. It's just, there's nothing like it.
One of my favorite things is walking out of a theater after seeing a show, everyone's filing out, and you can just, like, feel it, just like, wow, we witnessed that, and, like, they're talking about it. You're just, like, you're sharing this art that you just got to experience together. It's just, like, it's such, like, a little coming together. Like, you may not even know the people you saw it with, but, like, it's just, like, like
It's just it's
words.
yeah, it's peak humanity to me. I know I already said that, but like that's the only way I feel like I can phrase it.
Theater brings people together.
Theater brings people together. It's collaborative. It's just it's so I don't know, so achingly human.
No, because really,
I love it so much, and there's so many dimensions to it. I could talk about it for hours, but I won't, because I value everyone's time. All right, don't mind me. I'm just looking at our timer here. I think anything else to say? Because I think that might do it for this episode.
I think come see Spring Awakening.
Come see Spring Awakening.
Shows.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this show.
See Spring Awakening. See Failure. See theater.
Go
out and see theater.
Your homework is to go see a show.
That is your assignment.
That's your assignment. No, but if you have the time, if you have the resources,
if you have the money, there's also student discounts.
There's student discounts.
Don't let the prices discourage you.
Yeah.
I saw Fat Ham at the Roma for $15, and I was sitting in $50 seats.
There you go.
So
and
also
look up theaters in your area, because you might not know that there's a theater that's really close by to you, wherever you may live. That there's a theater really close by, and maybe you'll try something new.
Also,
and you'll
don't
experience
knock
something.
community theater.
Don't knock community
they're working
theater.
hard too.
Yeah, and don't knock student theater either, because it's usually people who are very passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. I want to thank you guys so very much for watching this episode. I know it's kind of been me and Finn rambling a little bit.
This is just conversations we have off camera too.
Literally off camera. We just hand each other mics and then, just go for it. But yes, thank you so much for watching and or listening.
Check out the TikTok.
Check out the TikTok. Check out the Instagram. Check out the Facebook. I'll hopefully have the links in the description. Weren't working last time I tried, but I'll have the usernames of everything up in the bio. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Episode of what?
Episode of Yes and the podcast about all things Arcadia theater and theater in general, as obviously
as we went on for about
as
a while.
as I keep talking in the outro. But yes. I hope you guys had a good holiday season. I hope winter is treating you well.
Stay warm.
Stay warm, or if you're in a warm climate,
stay warm.
Stay warm. Yeah. That's specifically for my mom, because I'm from Florida. Hi, Mom. I know she's watching. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of Yes and. Bye. Yay. And we are going to